automatically. Okay, so that is the assignment setting for part 1. So if you set your assignment here, the number of parts to more than 1, then you will actually see 2 of this. You will get assignment part 1, and then there's another one, assignment part 2 settings. Okay, and then let's look at the originality report option. Okay, the originality report option actually sets the behavior of the reports that the students can see. The first setting here, it allows the submission of the due date. Of course, I do not just put yes. What would happen to the system is that it will allow submissions after the due date, but then the submissions will actually show as red. That means there will be green ink and also red ink showing that how long has the student overdue. Okay. Report generation speed. There are 3 settings here. The first one is generate reports immediately and the students cannot resubmit. The second one is generate report immediately, but the students can still resubmit until the due date. Okay? And then the last one is generate report on the due date itself. So I like to take the middle ground for my assignments, where I allow the generation of the report to be done immediately, and the students can resubmit until the due date. So it allows the students the chance to actually review their work and then resubmit. Okay, so which one that you want to choose is actually up to your discretion. Okay, the third important one in the originality report option is store student papers. So what this does is actually it will store the student submission into either a standard repository, or it will not store the student submission. This is it will not store student submission. So when do you use this? If you want to reuse the same essay title year after year, I would suggest that you don't store the student's paper. Okay, this is because then it will increase the chance or the probability of students' work to be repeated again and again and again. If your work or if your essay title changes every year, then I would suggest that you keep it. Okay, but it's up to you. If you don't want to keep it, then it's fine. Normally, I would do is I would keep it in a standard repository. So what it does is it will save it in Turnitin's repository. And say, for example, if a student from Harvard writes a paper that is similar to what your student has written, then it will actually come up as high similarity index in that student in Harvard. So that is how the standard repository acts, behaves in and also in Spectrum. So have a think about the pros and cons of having your students' paper stored in the standard repository. Okay, so and then there is this the rest of the settings for originality report option, which is the first one is check against top student papers. I would normally always say yes to this. Check against the internet, yes. Check against journal, periodicals, and publications. So this is checking academic journals and also books. Yes. Exclude bibliography. So what does exclude bibliography means? So if you have a reference section to essays, normally it will show up in the originality report if you. So that's why I would normally and suggest that you exclude bibliography, because it will actually will exclude the text in the reference section from being checked with the generated text, because there are so many ways for us to cite, isn't it? So Harvard is different than APA is different, but those are the only kinds of references writing styles that can actually choose. So I would say I would normally exclude bibliography. The second one is exclude quoted materials, especially for undergraduate level essays. You would normally allow students to quote one or two times in their text or in their papers, isn't it? So anything inside brackets will be excluded. So this also I would normally set to yes. That means if students do quotation in brackets in their work, then it will exclude that as not to be flagged in similarity index. The last one is the exclude small matches. So what this does is actually it allows for the system to disregard or exclude any sentence structure that is similar. So I would, so after a few years of using Turnitin, I find that the exclude small matches works best at about 10 to 12 words. Sometimes I use 8 words. And it's actually up to you. So you can actually have this try and error. If you don't want to exclude it, it's also okay. So you just put 0 here. So that means there is no exclusion of small matches. So it depends on you because sometimes it does increase the chance of getting higher similarity index. So that's why I normally put around 10 to 12 words. Okay. So the rest is the grade mark option. Okay. So this is where you set the grades. Um, I would suggest that when you create essay assignment, you use rubrics as a marking tool. But rubrics makes for easier marking. The marking will be more consistent and uniform across the board. And also, I think it's fairer for the students because you are actually giving them or marking them on a similar manner or consistent manner. So how do we attach rubric? Okay, so you can actually, if you already have your rubrics, or you have already created rubrics in Turnitin before, then you can actually just select the rubrics. Okay, but if you don't, what you can do is you click on Launch Rubric Manager. Okay, and it will show up as the rubric manager view inside your Spectrum or your Moodle environment. So this is how it would look like normally. Okay, so there is several pre-populated rubrics that's already in Turnitin. So this is actually a pre-populated rubric that you can choose. So AP history, for example. Okay, and it has its own criteria and it has its own scale. So 0 points, 1 point, 2 points. This one goes down. This is claim, context, evidence documents, evidence beyond documents, and analysis, okay, and reasoning. Okay. You also have, for example, argument essay. So this is all the pre-populated ones. So this is evidence sophistication, but you have more points in the scales, 4 points. Okay, and you can choose this as your rubric, or you can actually create your own rubrics. So what you do is, if you want to create your own rubrics, what you do is you click on create new rubric. Okay, or if you want to duplicate the rubrics, you click on duplicate the rubrics, and you will create the rubrics and put it in the rubrics and form available for you. The rubric and form. So let's first duplicate the rubric. Okay, So now you have a copy that is available to you. So let's put it as the word copy. Just use my name. Okay, so click enter, it will save it, and now you'll be able to see that it will be listed in the list of my rubrics. These are the ones that I can use. So just now we created a copy of this one, isn't it? And what you do is to close it, it will be able to see the rubrics in here. Okay, where is it? Probably it takes a little bit time for it to register there. Okay, so let's look at creating your own rubrics first. So when you create a new rubric, you'll be given the same set of criteria and skills that's available in any rubric forms. Of course, you can actually add more criteria here, okay, and you can add more skills here. So, for example, instead of just 3, you want to add another one. So you just click on the plus button and at the end, and given scale number 4. Okay, similar. So if you want to add more criteria, you click on the plus button here, then you will be given criterion 5. So for creating the rubrics, or creating the rubric um, details, then you just click on the inside here, the text, and write the period here. Okay, you can change the name, okay, instead of criteria 1, then it's criteria A, or just now structure. Okay, criteria 2 can be something else. So details here. Okay, so this one could be format, for example. This one is scholarship. So let's create one details here. Okay. So reference and citations. Okay, it's limited. So you can't really put more. So reference. Okay. And the last one is let's just say fonts, just for the sake of it. Okay. So you have 5 criteria. Okay. And then you can set the scale and you set the marks for the scale. So let's see, scale 1 is 0, scale 2 marks would be 2. It's up to you. This one will be 4. This one would be um, 6. Okay. And then of course you can put in the details. So the description or the descriptor of the rubrics. And this will help you to determine the kinds of consideration that you give for giving that kind of skill. So, for example, let's just populate one. So 0 marks for structure, that means no structure at all. Okay. So scale 2 would be uh, have semblance of structure, not well polished. Scale 3 could be So adequate or minimally structured. Okay. Okay. Scale for well defined, say structure. Okay, so that could be, and you can actually populate the whole thing. So after you're done, yeah, and you're happy with this, you click on the name. So create a name here. So this one, let's name it Turnitin training module. Okay. And then you save the rubrics. Okay. Your criteria total rows does not total 100. Just save anyway. Okay, so let the system save. And it's taking its time. Got it. Okay, so that is setting the rubrics. Then after you are done, you can actually have the rubrics on your. So now you can attach the rubric that you have. Then please note that the students will be able to attach view rubrics, view attached rubrics and their contents prior to submitting. So it's a good idea when you use rubrics for marking, because the students will be able to actually see what are the details of the rubric. So make sure that you describe the rubrics properly, so that then the students understand what it means, because they will be able to see the rubrics that is attached to their essay work. So that means they should be able, for me, the students should be able to self-mark themselves in which part of the rubrics. So for example, in just now, structure, whether it's has a structure or it's very, very well defined structure, the students should be able to, in their mind, know that they are actually meeting scale 1 or scale 2 or scale 3 or scale 4. So that is also something that exercises their mind to make sure that this is the right submission that I should do for the work that they are doing. Okay, so let's stop for a bit. So what you do is, after you're done with the settings, you click on save and display. Okay, so let's allow the system to load. So now we have our spectrum, Turnitin essay. So the settings in our Moodle or our spectrum. So let's have a round of questions here and see whether you have any questions. Okay, so we have a question from Dr. Muhammad Faital. Can you briefly explain the importance of adding rubrics? Okay, so again, with the rubrics, it's important because number one, it allows for fair um, assessment of the student work. Okay, number one. Number two, it allows for very consistent marking. So that means you are really marking against a set criteria. Okay. Number three is with rubrics, what you get is you make sure that the students can actually read the the achievement or the performance that they need for creating the assignment. Okay, that means for marking the assignment. Or so they should be able to, if you describe the rubrics well, self mark their own work. Okay, so hopefully that the three importance should be enough. Okay, for you to justify using rubrics. And you can actually get rubrics from a lot of places. You can even Google to get rubrics. And what you do is you choose a rubrics that you like based on the context of the student work that you want, and you customize it to the context. So, for example, you get rubrics from somewhere from Stanford, but it's not really to the context of what you need. So then you tweak the specification details of the rubrics, and then it achieves your objective. Okay. So we have another question. Eliza Hafiz, can group assignments be submitted through Turnitin? I would say you can, but it will not be what's the word? It would not be similar to what we are going to do. Yes, you can get the group submission, but when you do group submission, there should be only one person graded. Sorry, and when you do that, then it will come to the question of because in Turnitin you don't really have uh, what you call it group submission in Turnitin. In yes, in Turnitin. It's because it's designed to check students' work personally, so one by one. You can actually create the Turnitin for student work, but get the group leader or the representative of the group to submit on the group's behalf. If you look at the settings for Turnitin, okay, so let's look at the settings for Turnitin. You don't see any way that you can actually submit as groups, isn't it? Because it's not designed for group submission as we do normally in the university. So you sort of tweak the settings a little bit, and you just get the group leader to submit, and then you can apply the group's mark to each of the group members. That is, I would think you can actually do group submission. Okay. So the next question is from Dr. Noor Amani. If a master student submits their thesis, can I not use Spectrum? Is there other method to use Turnitin? Yes, you can actually use Turnitin in the web application. I can actually show you what it looks like. Okay, so I actually have this Turnitin application. All lecturers can actually request for a Turnitin account or Turnitin account from PTM. So I've already requested and received my Turnitin account. So I just log in. So let's try and log in. Okay. And when you have requested and received your username and password from PTM, then you can actually submit your work, or you can upload a manuscript, for example, that you wanted to submit for journal publication. It's not really working. Let's reload again. Okay, you just log in. Okay, now it works. Okay, so this is what the Turnitin account would look like. okay, in the web application. So you can actually add class in here and create the assignment for create your own sort of class and then submit work that portal. But we are going to, if we have time later, then we are going to look at this more closely because we wanted to focus on the next set which is student marks and everything. Can we use Turnitin platform for postgrad thesis? Of course, you can do it. Submit your own paper and costly. Can we submit our own paper to turn in to any course we teach? I'm not really sure how I understand what you meant. If you could please clarify this. Okay. So Dr. Felicita, however, how about assessing similarity index for draft student thesis write-up? Okay, so will it get stored in the repository and appear to increase on the subsequent draft? So to Dr. Felicita, what I suggest that you do is when you set the originality report option in the store student paper, you set that to no repository. So then it will not save it. Then you will not get the highest similarity index. Okay, Dr. Tan Siklu, when I create the turn-in assignment, exclude bibliography option. Although I check yes, but when I log in, so no. Okay, so I have not encountered that kind of issue before. Have you noticed this in all your turn-in assignment or just one? So if it's in all your alternative assignment, then I think you need to.
All the assignments that we create that I have selected yes, when I log in, if I log in to check the setting again, it usually will become no. I'm not sure why.
Okay. Have you tried it again in a different assignment or it's just this one?
Yes. Yes, different assignment.
Okay, just this one. So I would
No,
suggest
different assignment.
or different assignment.
Yeah.
Actually, what does the system does when you create the assignment is that it will it can actually save the first time that you create the assignment as your favorite. So it will just sometimes revert back to the favorite. You can actually put no and save it again. So that hopefully that solves the issue.
Actually, when I log in to see the setting again, it will show if I click yes to exclude. But when I go in again to check the setting, it become no. But the second time when I check the setting, that setting become a non-active option. Means that I cannot select the yes and no option anymore. When the second time I go and see the setting.
All right. So I've not seen that ever. So maybe I would suggest that you try again in a different course. And
yeah, I see this in different course and the different assignment that we create.
Yeah, then we need to check with PTM.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so we will share how to request with PTM a little bit later. Okay, so let's go back to our content. Okay, so where were we just now? Okay, so of course we've done this grade assignment. So let's move forward to the grade student submission using Turnitin Feedback Studio. Okay, so what you have in Turnitin is the Feedback Studio where you can actually view students' work, okay, and then look at the grading option and also the similarity index option. In the grading option, it will allow you to do several things. Quick marks is good for actually improve student writing, okay, and then you also have the feedback summary where you can give feedback to the students and what the rubrics would look like to the students and also to you, so that then you can actually give marks to the students. And you also have the option to look at the similarity layer. So where do you flag for review? How do you match? How do you look at the match overview? And also how do you exclude sources? Okay, so somebody is raising their hand. So let me start. Dr. Eliza is raising your hand. Dr. Eliza, anything that you want to ask? Okay, so yes, Dr. Eliza? I can't hear you.
Dah tanya tadi, Prof.
Oh, dah tanya. Okay, okay. Okay, dan pasal apa tu
Group submission tadi.
Oh, group submission. Okay, 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 alright. Itulah, apa, tak turunkan tangan. Angkat tangan. Okay, so let's look at Turnitin feedback studio. So let's share our screen again. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. Okay, so let's look at our submission. Okay, so let's go back to. Okay, so let's look at this Turnitin course demo where I have already got a few submissions by the students. So what you will get from the submission is something like this. So once you've done the settings, you've opened the submission, and you have the students to submit, it will show up like this. Okay, so you can actually arrange your, so you'll be able to see the start date, the due date, post date, what are the marks that's available. You can actually change this here. Okay, just click and change it. For example, it becomes 50 if you want. Okay, but I would just leave it at what I have set. You can actually look at the rubrics again. Okay, so it will show the summary. Okay, and then so earmark is something that I'm trying to try out. It's not really that important, but normally for earmark is where you allow students to review the other students' work. Okay, but we're not going to do that today. So these are the entries that the students have submitted. Okay, so we have I have roped in a few people to do submission, and then let's look at what they did. Okay, so let's look at. So I've asked people to submit a few things. Okay, and if you have like 0 similarity, then you get things like this. Okay, 0%, and then that's blue. So Dr. Yazid's submission is 19% is green. Okay, and then you have this submission from Huzairi which is 100%. That means it's directly similar to something else on the exam. Okay, so and if the students have not submitted, it will show up like this. So then you can actually WhatsApp them, where is your submission? Things like that. Okay, so how do you go into the gradebook? So you go to the gradebook by either clicking on this submission title or clicking on the grades. Okay, so when you click that, it will take you directly to Feedback Studio. Okay, so let's look at it again. So then, not really, you're not missing. Okay, so you can click on the submission title, or you can click on the grade. So the pencil icon there. What you do is, for example, here I'm clicking on Dr. Yazid's submission. Okay. So this is the this is our e-learning policy, which Dr. Yazid has submitted. So just submit anything. So these are the layers that I was talking about just now. It's either the grading layer. So the grading layer is this one. Grading layer allows you to look at the grading. Okay. And this is the similarity layer that shows the similarity. Okay. So what do you have in both layers? Okay. The first one, the grading layer, the first one is the quick marks. So quick marks is a way for us to help students improve their essays and improve their writing by selecting and also then commenting using pre-prepared comments. Okay, so for example, you have quite a number of formats. This is paraphrasing, so it's good when you want the students to cite properly. So you use the paraphrasing option. There are different sets that you have. Okay, so you have paraphrasing. You have also punctuation. You have also academic integrity. You have commonly used. And you have composition. So if you are teaching language, for example, faculty of language and linguistics, so you use composition marks to look at a very detailed aspect of student work and comment and also give feedback on that. So let's look at just now paraphrasing. So for example, this one, so you think that this one should be paraphrased properly from a source. So what you do is you click on the you select first. You select this one, for example. Then you click on the quick mark button, and then, for example, you choose this one, this one. Okay, so it will flag that as include a stronger example to spot this word. So when the students click on this, it will give the detail of the criteria. So take a look at the example, read the question, use preference, and you can actually add more comments here. Please refer to how this is done in paper X, for example, or lecture number 3 or 4, okay. So then it will be safe for the student. So it will give you the quick marks, and you can actually go through the whole document using this. For example, this is paraphrasing. So if you look, you want to make sure that they use the right format. So you can change this to format, for example. So for example, this one needs citation. Okay, so you split on format. This is not format. Okay. This one is needs to be bold, for example. Okay, so you can or you can choose from any of this. So that is quick marks. The second one, which I use very regularly and almost every time in my marking and also in my essays with my students, is the voice comment and also the text comment. So the voice comment allows you to record 3 minutes of comments, and then the text comments that you can actually click and then write your overall comment. So then as feedback. Okay. And you can actually save both. Okay. So and then the next is the rubric just now. So remember you created the rubrics and you applied the rubrics in your essay work. So now is where you actually put in the rubrics. And what you do is you select the scales. Okay, scale 1, scale 2, scale 3, scale 4. Okay, so scale 1 is this one. Then this is the last one. Okay, so this is scale 1, marks above 8. So this is how I create the rubrics. So I give this is the description of the rubrics. If you think that the work follows actually in scale 2, which is so that will be 8, scale 2, and the system will actually record. So that is scale 2 that you have chosen. Okay, or scale 3, and it will actually show up what are the meaning, or this is the descriptor of scale 3, and it goes on to the end. So let's say for structure, the student get 4, for knowledge gets 2, 4 again. So the scholarship is done really, really well, for example. So you give it 1. And then language is not really good, give it 3. Formatting is very, very well done. So you give 1. So the student gets 4.2 out of 5. So, and there's no more scale. So once you are happy with the rubrics that you applied to the students, you click on this apply to grade. Okay? And automatically, the 4.2.5 will be converted to 84 out of 100. As you can see at the top right hand corner here. Okay, then you can move to the next work. Okay, so this is so that's why he got 100. So what he did, he uploaded a paper from the internet, so it shows up all that. So again, what you do is you choose which is the appropriate scale. Okay, and then so let's put scholarship is 0, formatting is 3, for example, and you apply to grade. Again, you get the automatic marks over 100. So that is how you move through the papers in the feedback studio. Okay, so between your students that submitted. Okay, so this is another one. So this one is that's why there's no similarity, because it's only a 2-paragraph work. So that's how then you create the rubrics and also apply the rubrics to the students. So let's look at the second one, which is the pledge for review. So this is the scholarship part. Okay, and let's look at the one with the 19% similarity index. So it's a middle ground. So it makes it easier for us to actually find out. Okay, so the first thing that you wanted to do is sometimes when you have similarity or similar words in their student submission. For example, like this one. So this one is actually shows up in number 5, which is submitted to Jabatan Politeknik and College Community. Okay, so this is similar to what is submitted here. Okay, but you know that this is actually something that is a very common word. So this is where the the filters, the how many words that is applying again, that appears. That's why I put it 10. Even with 10, common sentences like this still show up sometimes. So that's why we need to actually review, look at the student submission before we determine or we are satisfied that so this is where actually the students have copied from somewhere, and that is actually the real similarity index that is applied to the students. So to make sure that you get the right similarity review or the right similarity report in the applied to each student, you need to start excluding sources that you think that, so this is actually just a common word that the students might have repeated, and it will be similar in almost most people when they write. Okay, so let's look at this one. So we would want to exclude this, for example. So then it will apply, the exclusion will apply to this word. So to exclude the and to readjust the similarity index, so that then you exclude this, is you actually have to click this. Okay, click the arrow. Sorry. So let's look at the. Okay. So what you do is you click on the arrow going to the right here. Okay. So this is number 5 because this is number 5, isn't it? So this is number 5. So click on this one. So you want to exclude this. And what you do is now, so these are the results from this similarity review or report. So what you do is you click on exclude sources here, okay, and then for the ones that you wanted to exclude, you click on the tick. So it will actually exclude 7, and it will recalculate the originality score for this submission. So when you click on exclude, now you see that from 19, it goes down to 18. And the highlighted part here is no longer highlighted. So that is how you exclude sources. And you make sure that, okay, this is actually a truly representing the similarity report that you should get. And this is very, very important because we find sometimes what lecturer give instruction to students is if I see that your similarity index is more than 30, you will get 0 marks automatically. So without having ever going into the student's work and reviewing the similarity report given to the students by the system, remember the system is not perfect. The students are being disadvantaged because of the, I would say sometimes misreporting of the similarity index. So every time we do our Turnitin assignment, either in Spectrum or in anywhere, please make sure that you review the similarity index given by the system, so that then it becomes a fair assessment from you as the educator as to which one is actually copied from somewhere and which one is actually an error by the system. Okay. Then let's look at, so these are all the sources for example, for the work. Okay. And that's not much that we want to change here. So this is the exclude words. So you can actually change this. Just now we set it at 10, so that one appears as 10. And we exclude quotes and bibliography just now as we set it. Okay, so that's why we get this, and this is actually how we can look at and also repair or review the similarity index before we give assessment for students. Okay, so let's go back to our slides just now. Okay, so we've looked at this one. So we've looked at trademarks, we've looked at feedback summary, similarity index, excluding sources, and measure overview. Okay, so let's look at the second one, which is improve student writing. So I actually sort of looked at this a little bit just now. So let's look at using quick marks for marking, applying, and customizing. Okay, so you can actually customize the quick marks for the student. So let's share the screen again. Okay, and look at the quick marks. Okay, so as we have established just now, you can actually use quick mark to look at several sets or several ways for you to apply your quick marks to the students. Okay, so the quick marks that's already embedded in the feedback studio in Turnitin, there are quite a few. Okay, for composition, for example, things like subject and verb agreement, needs topics, wordy, weak transition. So these are all have meanings. Okay, and actually, when you click on the quick marks, it will give you this long description of what it means by when you click on vague just now. So this is the description. So the students will be able to see what vague means. Okay, it's not just okay vague, but what is vague. So it will give you. So this is the description. So when making a point in one of your body paragraph, one of the commas, most common mistake is not to offer enough details. Blah 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 blah. Fragment. So fragment, sentence fragment is a phrase or clause that is somewhere incomplete. Okay, so those and when you look at and when you find those kinds of qualities inside the student work, then you can actually quickly flag it or highlight it, okay, and give the quick mark to the students. And if you notice, once you selected composition on the right hand side, it will come up same as in the window, the floating window. So you click on that one, so automatically it will flag this as fragmented. Okay, so when you use this regularly, especially to check on student submission, then what happens is the students will be able to see each line and what are your comments in each line without you having to type it type the comments one by one. So it makes your marking or it makes your reviewing work much faster. Okay, so let's say for example this one we want to flag it for something. So let's go to commonly used. Okay. Commonly used is when you have used the quick marks often, it will automatically pick up the most general, the most used comments or the most used marks that you use for students. For example, quite a lot. I use citation needed quite a lot, and I use commonly confused quite a lot with my students. So it will show up in commonly used. So this is something that you don't have to add by yourself. It will appear and then it will make your life a little bit easier because it will show up or give you the things that you only use. So what you do is just choose this one. For example, then this is the use the criteria that you set up, and this is actually a customized customized quick marks that I've created myself. So that then it because my students they are not native speakers, so they do quite a lot of grammar mistakes. So I will just use this quite a lot in reviewing their work. So how do we then customize the quick marks? Okay, so to do that, next to the quick marks, you will be able to see this gear button, isn't it? Manage quick marks. what you do is just click on that one, okay, and you can see the each of the trademarks that is given in Turnitin, and you can actually then add this up for yourself. Okay, so if you want to add your own pigma, you click on the plus icon here at the top. You click on that one, then it will give you, this will be the title, this will be the description there. So let's see what would be something that's appropriate here. Okay, so we know that students now use text messaging quite a lot, okay, and they use short forms a lot. So let's put in here short forms for social media. It doesn't have to be this, but I'm just playing around with this. Okay, so and the description is the comment that you want to give in any form or everywhere you see this. Okay, so this let's say this short form is only appropriate if you are using Twitter or WhatsApp. WhatsApp with friends and family. It has no place in academic writing. Is well correctly in full. Okay, so that is my and this is the comment for that. So when you click on save, then it will automatically go into commonly used. Okay, so let's see what you get in commonly used. So let's close this up. Okay, and then here in commonly used. Okay, let's go down. Okay, so now it appears. So this is um, the new quick marks that you've created just now. So for example, let's just change. Let's mark this word as the one that we did just now, short forms for social media. So you see that. So let's drag this to the side. Okay. So it will give you a line to that. Okay. So when you click on short forms for social media, automatically the description appears for the students. So then the students will know that. So this is what is the description of that, and how then create the right or review the right one. So, and of course you can still add comments here to add to that. For example, I am not one of your friends. Thank you. Okay. So once you're done, then it will show up as the mark and also an additional comment. So that is how you use the quick marks and use that to help the students to improve their writing. It can be in a two-part assignment where you give this kind of review first, and then expect to get the better one in the second part of the assignment. Or you use the students can use this to improve their work in later in assignments. Okay, so and there are many different types of trademarks scale or trademarks marking that you can use here. Composition marks, for example, coming up, right? Okay, so composition marks. So this is delete. So that means we ask the students to delete, cite improperly cited materials. Okay, so I think you get the idea, isn't it? So and when we help the student giving feedback, the one by one, each line by line, then they will start to be able to improve. Other than we give them, for example, this Dr. Yazid, we're not happy with the work. We give him, for example, instead of 84, you can actually change it to 48 right away, and it will save it will be updated in their spectrum or in their Moodle, and they get nothing in order for them to improve. So compare that with really actively looking at the work and then giving them comments, feedback that's constructive, then they can actually do something with it. And that is, I think, one of the power or the benefits of online learning or online teaching, is that you are able to give them personalized feedback like this. Okay, so let's go back to our slides again. So I think you understand how this works just now. Okay, so we've applied quick marks for marking and giving feedback to the students, and we also look at customizing feedback. So the next one, the next slide is correctly interpret similarity report. Okay, so I think we have time for a 10 minutes break. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the link to our blog post for you to read before we move on to the next section. Okay, so from this, then we will break for 10 minutes. So we will start again at 10:30. So let me share with you the link to our blog post for you to read in the 10 minutes. Okay, and then I'm going to read a few messages. So at 11:30, I'm going to read the list of questions again, and then we're going to answer them, and then we'll start with the next set, which is there's only two slides to go. This one and also the other one, which is within. Okay, so let's have a 10 minutes break starting from now. We will resume at 11:30, and in the meantime, please read the blog post that we have, and I've already uploaded in your meeting chat. Okay, so let's have a break. Thank you very much. I hope everybody has got their break. Remember, most of us are still working at home, so probably will be sitting in the kitchen or in the room somewhere, trying to finish up our works, and having classes with our students. So let's review the more questions that we have. So, and I hope you have already taken the time to read the blog post that we had. So let's see where we left off. Okay, so this is the question from Dr. Muhammad Iskandar. What other forms of plagiarism checking could could Turnitin do? I am teaching computer simulation. Well, because Turnitin checks for similarities with anything that is published, available on the internet, then it will probably be able to look at or find matches in anything with text in it. Okay, so I would imagine that the computer simulation would involve a lot of equations. So, but the thing is, with equations and with coding, without having any prior knowledge in coding, I would suggest that maybe coding would need to be similar or follows a certain syntax. Isn't it, Dr. Iskandar? So in that case,
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Zahiruddin.
Yes.
Iskandar here.
Okay.
I think my question probably going towards the attributes of the file, not the content per se, because I'm aware that Turnitin is targeting and comparing the content of the file, right? And the similarities and differences and etc. lah. So basically, that is the contextual attributes of the file inside. I was thinking about the file attribute itself, because when students submit, say you have a particular program or application, he has a particular time date, timestamp, file size, and so on. If another student just simply copy and change the name, I think some of the attributes would be identical. I was thinking whether is it possible that Turnitin can assist us in that way lah. Because you have a class of 100 plus students is taxing to check certain things in order to actually validate whether the program or the application that was written is actually their own work or just simply reverse engineered or copy together lah, collectively, or whether copy from another friend. I think that is the intention of my question. Thank you, Doctor.
All right, thanks. Well, the short answer is I don't have the answer because the file attributes is something
that is difficult.
About. But I think you need to dig this further and actually check with Turnitin to see whether it checks on that or not. But on the surface, it looks like it only checks for the contextual evidence on the file itself, not the file attributes. But we can actually.
I was hoping it's more than that lah, but I think we have to live with that situation currently lah. Thank you anyway.
All right, thank you for the question. Interesting. Okay, Dr. Ainuriza, can we request access from TM? Yes, you can always request access to Turnitin from with PTM. You can't delete yes. The thing is, you cannot delete your own submission. It's because only Turnitin admin at the university will be able to remove previous submission because it needs to take the submission out from the general repository at the Turnitin site. So they need to be done through the TTM's admin, Turnitin admin in UM. Okay, so next question is. Okay, Turnitin submitted their work, have submitted rubrics. Can I still add the rubric? Oh, submitted their work. Can I still add the rubric? So if you want to add the rubrics in the middle of marking, I have not tested that to be honest. Normally for Spectrum, if you already have students submitting to work, then you will not be able to change the marking style. Let me check on that, and I will note this question. And since you're still in the group and the teams, then I can find out what the answer for you. But again, I think when creating assignments for students, we need to already know what kind of assessment regime that we wanted to do, and we need to communicate that with the students at the very, very early stage, because then they will not think that it's fair, I think. But of course, there are many other examples or other reasons where suddenly we need to change, or sometimes we wanted to do rubrics, but then we forgot to enter the rubrics into the system, isn't it? So let's check on that as well. Dr. Chu Willing, if students have submitted assignment via Dropbox, can I check the similarity index in Python? Okay, so I think the question is, the answer is straight no. If you want to get them to be checked in Turnitin, you need to upload the assignments. So either you upload the assignments on behalf, or they need to upload their work through Spectrum themselves. Dr. No Adiana, can Turnitin detect similarity between student work in the same class? Of course. Put it in the repository, then it will be able to check for similarity within different students. The next question is Dr. Yusniza. So, Turnitin will be able to detect the similarity if the text is embedded in picture format. Yes. It only checks for similarity for text, not for pictures. So, pictures would be, I would say, the non-available or the not allowed. You should not allow submission in picture forms, so that then Turnitin will be able to read the text. It needs to be in text. Even in PDF, the system would still be able to read, but not JPG or BMP files. Okay, so yes. Okay, I think that's no more question. Okay, so let's look at similarity report. The issue behind similarity reports. And when you look at similarity report, remember that similarity report is not perfect. You would find sometimes even my name appears in similarity report. Even the assignment title appears in the similarity reports. So it's not perfect. You need to actually go in and review the similarity report. Sometimes, even though we have excluded the bibliography, but the bibliography was not referenced properly, then it will also show up. Either it's in any style, Harvard style or APA style or whatever style. If students use references, it sometimes is flat in similarity reports. Things that you actually want to exclude, isn't it? What the system does, it flags the similarity of the student work to other resources. And for us, what we need to do is we need to review those other resources. So that's why sometimes you look at the similarity index or the similarity report in the Feedback Studio. So let's go back and look at the similarity in the Feedback Studio. So let me change the screen. Okay. So the similarity report here, so for example, this one is the paper by that Dr. Yazid. Okay. So this is actually quite a high similarity report. and this is in docplayer.net. So it flags this as internet source, okay, and then it actually looks at and follows this document that's available on the internet text, okay, and this is actually our e-learning policy, and what we did is there are a few of the statements in the e-learning policy is shared between different universities. So of course it will be similar like this. But again, when you look at the sources here, it also appears in many other sources. It's still the same, mom.info, which I don't know where that is. Okay, so you can actually click on the link here, and it will open it in a new window. So this is something sorry, I'm not sure what this is, but it says document not filed, document not found. So there are many places. Okay, so script. Hopefully you can see this properly. So this is the similarity comes from this document, ICT in Tibet manuscript. Okay, so you know that it's an, to me, it's an an honest thing, because it comes from, and to log in everything. So I'm not really going to do that. So it allows you to actually look at the sources and get to know where exactly it is similar or it is the same. So it allows you to effectively look at the interpretation and also look at the flagging just now. Where does the flagging leads you to? And you can see whether that is actually, I would say, a willful attempt by the students to copy and then paste into your assignment form. So that's why I really want to caution people from taking the similarity index from the Turnitin website or Turnitin report and use it against without. So that is my only, I would say, really important take back that you need to have, or you need to take. You need to take if you don't remember anything else from this training. Make sure that you treat the similarity report with caution and with fairness to the students, because then you know that when you see the similarity report, it will actually be the right similarity report for the student. So just now when we have created the or given the marks to the students, okay, you see that. So here for Dr. Yazid, it's already been updated. The similarity has been updated once we excluded the sources, and once we updated the grades, it will automatically appear in the grades for the students. So let's go and give marks for Umu. So Umu did a really short essay. So we are going to give her structure and knowledge is very poor, but good scholarship, I would say, and good language, and good formatting. So okay, so give that. So when you apply to grade, Umu gets 72. So in our spectrum page, okay, you see that the grades has not been updated yet. So what you do, you can click on the refresh submission, and what the system will does, it will pick up whatever update that you did. If you want to see the marks really quickly. But if you don't, it will just update itself in a few minutes. Okay, so that's how the system creates or sorry, marks the students. Also, it's for you to then help the student to improve their work. So let's go back to our slides. Okay, so this is something that I think that teams need to work on, making sure that when we go back to the share screen or the shared PowerPoint, it comes back to the right slide right away. Okay, so this is the last one that I'm going to talk about is giving meaningful feedback to students. So what it does is the system in the feedback studio allows us to create and record audio comment for personalized overall feedback. The minutes is 3 limit, and you also can give a text comment to the students. So let's share the screen again. Go back to our feedback studio. Okay, so let's look at this work. Of course, it gets 0 match, but I wanted to comment on this work by the student because her work is too short. Okay, so what you do is you can either write the comment in here, and you can even like have text editing, advanced text editing with can bold, italic, and underline. So, example. Okay, so you can actually bold that. Okay, what it is to not to give you good mark. Okay, so I can bold that as well. Okay, or it will take academic journals and also good websites to get better marks for this work. So after you've done recording, you can or if you wanted to pause, for example, so when you are recording your comments, suddenly you get thirsty, so you can actually pause the recording and then drink your water and then resume the recording again. So I think you need to polish your essay. You need to read a lot more so that then you can write more have more content in your essay. So after you're done, you can click on the square icon to stop the recording. And then what it will do is you can actually replay the recording. Okay. So as I expected, because suspected, because I'm using the mic for Teams, so it does not really record. But strangely enough, the system still registers that the clock is running. So after you're done, you click on save. But for example, you're not happy with the recording, so you can actually delete the recording and then start over. Okay, you can start over. You can re-record the message saying probably needs to be longer, blah blah blah. The grammar is not good, blah blah blah. And after you're done, again you click on stop the recording and then you save the recording. So once you save the recording, then the recording will be made available for the students so that then they can hear your personalized feedback on what's good and what's bad with their thesis or with their work. Because the a time limit is only 3 minutes, I would suggest that you use the voice comment for an overall comment on the work. Okay. For specific comments, I would suggest that you use the pigma, because then you can actually comment line by line quite quickly, isn't it? So those are the three ways that you can actually respond and give feedback to students' work. And the more that you give the feedback, I would suggest that the better the students will be able to do or perform in the subsequent essays or subsequent work, because they've known where they need to improve. Okay, so of course, when you do comments, it's good practice to give constructive feedback to the students instead of like bashing them. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good. So make sure that you put in as well. Okay, this is how you improve. This is where you need to have more resources. This is where you need to give more comments. So this is where you need to critically analyze the work. So give the positive feedback so that then they can. And okay, and I think that's it for the course that we have today. So we've done all the objectives that I've set up to do. So let's look at the final questions if we have any. Okay, caution and fairness. Dr. Roha Yatimah Muhammad. Yes, caution and fairness. We need to be cautious on whatever that we put in, and also review in the Turnitin assignment or the similarity reports. And of course, we need to be fair to the students. Just Turnitin. Okay, we have a question from Dr. Musaib Talebek. Does the Turnitin support, for example, Japanese language or other words text written in Unicode? I think if the texts are available online and you can type it with keyboard, I don't see why it would not be able to show up as similarity report in the internet. We don't. I'm not really sure whether language support is available, but for the major language like French, Japanese, Russian, English, I think it will be able to check that. And again, because it refers to and compare the resources that is done by your student to the internet, it would always pick up anything that is similar. Okay, so I think that's the only question that we have. So if you have any more questions that you want to ask, let me check on the language support or language. You can actually, you can look at Turnitin. I will try and find the link to Turnitin Academy so that then you can also learn Turnitin by yourself, or learn Turnitin features of Turnitin by yourself. Turnitin Academy. Okay, so this is the link to Turnitin Academy, but it's slightly different because this will take you. Most of it is resources for Turnitin Direct in Turnitin Web, but of course it will be like assignment settings is and the similarity report. The feedback is the feedback studio is something that's similar because it runs in Turnitin. Let me share the link with you. Okay, and I think I found yes, interpreting similarity report. So this is a resource from Turnitin, highlighting about how do we interpret similarity reports. And let's look at language. You can actually do matching on in non-English language. So these are the support for language. Okay, so let me share the link, the list with you. So this is from Turnitin website. So these are all the language that is supported for Turnitin. Okay, and I got this from this link. Okay. So I hope that you've gained useful knowledge from the setting session, the training session that we have. Sorry if I can't answer your questions right away. There are still a few things that I still need to learn about Turnitin myself, or even though I've been using it for quite a while now. Interesting questions, as always, from Academics. So thank you for having me, and we stop really right at the dot 11:59. So I return the session back to our host Belinda to close up. Thank you.
Alright.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zahir. Thank you everyone for tuning in and for staying until the end. If you have further questions, you can just email us at adec@um.edu.my. Our sincere apologies as there are some glitches to the recordings just now, so we hope we managed to catch the most out of it, but we will provide you the slide. Actually, I'm going to post the link to the slide now. May I, Dr. Zahir?
Yes.
Dr. Ida, there won't be any certificate for this webinar. I'm so sorry. Alright, that's it. So the recorded session should be available in the channel itself right after the lunch hour. So again, thank you so much everyone. Stay safe, have a good lunch and have a good day. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Uh,
Thank you.